Imagine if Superhot and Beat Saber had a baby. It would probably look a lot like Pistol Whip. Now, if you've played a lot of VR games, you may have noticed something. A lot of VR shooters feel cool for the first few minutes, but eventually they become repetitive. You stand in one place, you aim, you shoot, and that's about it. On the other side, rhythm games are fun and energetic, but sometimes they lack that intense action that makes you feel like you're inside an action movie. So the problem is this: most VR games only give you half of the experience. You either get the adrenaline of a shooter or the rhythm and movement of a music game, but rarely both. That's exactly the problem that Pistol Whip solves. Pistol Whip is a rhythm based VR action game where you move through stylized cinematic levels while shooting enemies in time with the music. Instead of just standing still and aiming, the game pushes you forward through the environment like you're inside a moving action scene. Enemies appear around corners, bullets fly toward you, and the music drives everything that's happening around you. The best way I can describe it is this: it feels like you're starring in your own action movie. You're dodging bullets, ducking under obstacles, shooting enemies, and all of it happens on beat with the music. When you start getting into the rhythm of it, the entire experience feels almost like a dance, except instead of dancing, you're surviving a shootout. Now, when people first hear about this game, they often compare it to Superhot, and I understand why. Both games involve shooting enemies in a VR environment while avoiding bullets. But don't think for 1 minute that Superhot and Pistol Whip are the same game, because they're actually very different. In Superhot, time only moves when you move. That mechanic turns the game into a strategic puzzle. You're constantly planning your next step. If you move too quickly, you can get overwhelmed. If you move too slowly, you might miss an opportunity. The entire game is about careful positioning and decision making. Pistol Whip, however, throws a completely different challenge at you. Instead of slowing time down, Pistol Whip speeds everything up. Enemies keep coming, bullets keep flying, and the music never stops. The strategy isn't about freezing time and planning your next move. The strategy is about surviving the chaos while staying in rhythm, and that's where the real challenge begins, because enemies don't just appear one at a time. Sometimes you'll have multiple enemies shooting at you from different angles. You have to quickly react, aim, shoot, and dodge incoming bullets while staying in sync with the beat of the music. Miss the rhythm, and your score drops. Miss a bullet, and you lose health. This creates a really interesting balance between rhythm and survival. You want to stay on beat because it improves your score, but sometimes you also need to break rhythm just to stay alive. That's where the trial and error aspect of the game comes in. The first time you play a level, you're probably going to struggle. Enemies appear in places you didn't expect, obstacles show up suddenly, and you might find yourself getting hit more often than you'd like. But each time you replay a level, you start learning the patterns. You begin recognizing where enemies spawn. You anticipate obstacles before they appear. And slowly, you start flowing through the level instead of fighting against it. That's when the game really starts to click, and once it does, something interesting happens. You start sweating. Pistol Whip is surprisingly physical. You're constantly leaning, ducking, and dodging bullets. Some obstacles force you to crouch low, others require you to move side to side, and because the levels keep moving forward, you don't really get a chance to relax. The entire experience becomes a full body workout without you even realizing it. In fact, the game actually reminds me of Creed Rise to Glory. If you've ever played that game, you know how exhausting it can be. You're throwing punches, blocking hits, and moving around constantly while fighting opponents. By the end of a match, you're usually sweating. Pistol Whip creates a similar feeling, but in a completely different way. Instead of boxing opponents, you're dodging bullets, and trust me, your legs will feel it. One thing I realized pretty quickly while playing Pistol Whip is that the game really benefits from having a larger play area. Unlike some VR games where you can mostly stand still, Pistol Whip encourages you to move your body more. You'll find yourself leaning left and right to dodge bullets, ducking under obstacles, and shifting around as enemies attack from different angles. Because of that, having a little more room to move makes the experience much safer and, honestly, a lot more fun. If your boundary space is too small, you might accidentally run into something while trying to dodge, and believe me, when you're in the middle of a level and suddenly a bullet comes flying towards you, your instinct is to move fast. The last thing you want is to dodge straight into a wall or a table. That's why I personally plan to extend my boundary space the next time I play this game. Having more room allows you to fully lean into the experience without constantly worrying about bumping into something. And the good news is that extending your boundary is actually very easy to do. If you're not sure how to do it, I actually made a short video on my channel that walks you through the process step by step. So if you need help setting that up, now stepping back for a moment, I think the reason Pistol Whip works so well is because it solves a common problem in VR gaming. Some games give you movement but not excitement. Other games give you excitement but not movement. Pistol Whip combines both. It takes the rhythm and energy of a game like Beat Saber, mixes it with the shooting mechanics of a game like Superhot, and then wraps everything inside a cinematic experience that makes you feel like you're inside an action movie. And the result is something that feels completely unique. One moment you're ducking under an obstacle, the next moment you're dodging bullets in slow motion. Then suddenly you're clearing an entire room of enemies while the music builds in the background. When everything lines up, the music, the shooting, the movement, it creates one of the most satisfying experiences in VR. And that's why games like this are so important for the future of VR. They show that VR isn't just about standing still and looking around. It's about moving your body, reacting in real time, and feeling like you're inside the action. Pistol Whip manages to capture that feeling better than most games out there. So if you're looking for a VR game that keeps you moving, challenges your reflexes, and maybe even gives you a little workout along the way, Pistol Whip is definitely worth trying. Just make sure you give yourself enough space before you start dodging bullets. Trust me on that one. And if you need help expanding your play area, check out the short on my channel where I show exactly how to extend your VR boundary. It might just save you from accidentally punching your wall. Before you go, I just want to mention something really quick according to my channel analytics. About 99% of the people watching my videos aren't actually subscribed, so if you enjoy VR content like this, whether it's tips, game reviews, or ways to improve your VR experience, consider hitting that subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow and lets me keep making videos like this. And if any of the games I talked about today caught your attention, like Pistol Whip, Superhot, or Creed Rise to Glory, you can actually get them 15% off using the links in my Linktree down in the description. I've also included links there for VR headsets like the MetaQuest 2 and the MetaQuest 3, along with some accessories that can make your VR gaming setup even better. So if you're interested in upgrading your setup or trying one of these games yourself, check out the link tree in the description. And with that said, I'll see you in the next VR tip.